Yo, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the college football playoff and its potential expansion and the benefits that I believe it brings to the sport and for fans of the sport like myself and you all watching this video. This has been a very controversial subject in the college football and football community overall, with many people having many different opinions about the matter. There are many people like me who believe it's a good thing and believe that its expansion brings many benefits to the sport and to the fans, but there's other people who think it should stay the way it is, that like the bowl system, that like the 4-team college playoff, and think that it's more competitive that way rather than letting in more teams to, maybe make a not as competitive postseason experience. Overall, in my opinion, obviously I'm going to get to the specific benefits. I believe it's a good thing just for the reason that, everybody gets more of a shot and it creates more of a consistent, fluid postseason for college football so that everybody really has something truly to play for, rather than if you're a small team just playing to get into a bowl game where the team you're playing might not even take it seriously, not even be playing half their team. But with all that being said, all that rambling, let's go ahead and get into the reasons why I believe expanding the college football playoff is overall a good thing. The first benefit that I believe an expanded CFP brings to college football and to its fans is that it adds more excitement to the postseason. A 12-team playoff would add 2 more rounds to the playoff, giving almost a second season to the CFP season that would be extremely fun and exciting from the perspective of a fan. It would even add an on-campus round that would create some of the best atmospheres we've seen in college football, especially for the teams who wouldn't have had a chance to get into the playoffs in its current form. In my opinion, this expansion and this round in particular could create a March Madness type feel and buzz around the college football playoff. Seeing a group of 5 school have it gutted out in the first round and potentially make it all the way to the championship will create a story and entertainment that can only benefit college football. I mean, just look at some of the stories that you see in March Madness, like what we've seen the last couple of years. Look at last year's March Madness where we saw the upsets. I think it could create that type of buzz around college football and in the postseason. I believe the majority of fans, even the ones against the playoff expanding, would find the opening rounds of the playoff very entertaining and would create a buzz around college football that has never been seen before. March Madness, as I just said, is probably the best example of the kind of buzz the expanded playoff will create, but you can also look at the NCAA baseball tournament and the College World Series. That's, as I'm recording this, going on right now. The regional and super regionals are played at teams' campuses, and as we've seen especially this year, can create a hell of an environment and brings overall excitement to the sport. I mean, I wasn't even really much of a college baseball fan. I never really followed it, but up until this year, seeing what it means to a lot of these fan bases and seeing the excitement it brings to these campuses and how hyped these games are, I think with college football, it would just be beyond belief what this would bring to these schools and what it would bring to the sport in general. Not to say that college football is lacking any excitement already, but with the postseason lacking a lot of the drama and excitement that you would expect over the last couple of years, a change like this could certainly help things and truly bring excitement not just to the sport, but to a lot of these campuses that could really use some fire, and it could really deserve an event like that. Moving on to the second benefit that I believe the expanded college football playoff creates is that it gives smaller schools more to play for throughout the college football season. And this is probably the most controversial and most hotly debated topic when it comes to the expanded CFP. In the playoff's current 14 form, it's nearly impossible for someone outside of the Power 5 to make the playoff, as we've seen. Many will argue that the best group of 5 gets to play in a New Year's Six Bowl, which is something to play for, but pretty much all the bowl games now, New Year's Six included, have lost meaning in recent years. With players opting out of bowl games becoming more commonplace, there is little meaning left in the bowl games, no matter which bowl it is. This point, as I said, is the most controversial, where many of the debates of the college football playoff expansion have stemmed from, even all the way back from the beginning of the playoff in its current form becoming a thing. The biggest argument against letting teams in, especially a group of 5 teams, is that we would get blowouts and boring games in the early rounds. In the history of the college football playoff, many of the CFP semifinals, especially the 1-4 game, have been lopsided and pretty uneventful, but I don't think that necessarily is a testament to the quality and difference in quality of the teams in the playoff. The problem with a lot of these teams that get blown out in the semifinal is preparation mentality rather than actual quality. I mean, if you look at a lot of these games like Clemson versus Ohio State, for example, or LSU Oklahoma the year before that, I mean, you play these games 10 times and obviously the better team is going to win more of the time, but it will be even, and it would definitely not be a blowout every single time. So I don't think it's really a great argument to say that there's already not 4 good teams, so there's no way there's 12. Obviously, it would be unlikely for the 12 seed or any group of 5 team to go all the way, but the possibility in the underdog stories, which what I mentioned in the last reason, is what makes competitions like this exciting. Many people feel like the bowl season works fine and there's no reason to change it. My response to that is that you can still keep the bowl as invitational games that schools can accept. Like in college basketball, they have the NIT, the CBI. But with the playoff that is more attainable, that's where the focus should go, with the bowl games already carrying little meaning in the playoff's current form, as it is. For the third and final aspect of this video that I believe is a benefit of the expanded college football playoff, it's the platform that it can give players, especially experienced senior players, in their final season on a national stage. I mentioned it multiple times in this video already, comparing this to March Madness, because March Madness, I feel like, it's just the premier postseason experience in college sports, if not all sports. I mean, one of the most entertaining and most watched tournaments and postseason events in all sports in the US. So I feel like emulating that would be a perfect formula. I mean, obviously you can't emulate it exactly, but emulating that as much as possible would be a great formula to really fix the postseason in college football. And looking at March Madness, you see, along with the underdog tales, you see players who write their stories during March Madness. I mean, you see the guys like Steph Curry, the Jimmer Fredette's. I mean, players every year who aren't necessarily big because they come from a small school, but they go off in the playoffs, and that makes them a star. That gives them NBA draft stock. That puts their name out there. And I feel like we don't really get that as much in college football because there's not as much of a way to do that. I mean, you see it a little bit with group of 5 guys coming up. I mean, look at guys like Cole Brennan, rest in peace, Mackenzie Milton, guys that have come up on smaller teams. But in a playoff where these teams really get the opportunity to shine on a national stage, we can see a lot more of that. And those type of underdog stories is what, the fans love. And that could really help a lot of players who really, deserve that kind of thing to get their name out there, get their draft stock, risen due to events like this. So I think that's just another reason. That kind of goes to the last reason, but another big reason to why I believe overall expanding the college football playoff really just helps things more than it hurts anything. Yo, thank y'all so much for watching. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Obviously, this is a very controversial issue, so I'm sure there'll be plenty of debate and talk about this, not just in the comments, but just overall in the college football community over the coming weeks and months leading up to the season. But I'd love to hear y'all's opinions. If you disagree, don't be afraid to share with me in the comments what you think is the right thing to do in this situation. With that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate all the support. It really helps me try and get to 200 subscribers as soon as possible. So every subscription helps me out a lot and I appreciate it. So with that being said, until the next video, Godspeed.